My name is Leo. My life was like a perfectly tuned clockwork mechanism. Every weekday at 6:30 a.m., I would wake up. At 7:15, I would have oatmeal with blueberries. At 8:03, I would take the train to the city. At 6:10 p.m., I would take the train back. On Tuesdays, my wife Emily and I would have dinner at Tony's Italian restaurant. On Fridays, we would watch a movie that she chose. On Saturdays, I would mow the lawn. I was an accountant at a small firm, and my job was to find order in the chaos of numbers. I loved order. I thought Emily did too. I considered our life to be a cozy haven. Stable. Reliable. I thought that was happiness. I was wrong. For me it was a haven, for her it was a swamp. One evening I came home a little earlier than usual. The train wasn't cancelled, it's just that, for the first time in 5 years, I took the one that left half an hour earlier. I wanted to surprise Emily with her favorite cakes. I entered the house quietly so as not to disturb her. She worked as a graphic designer from home, and was often immersed in her projects. She was in the kitchen, talking on the phone with her best friend, Jess. I froze in the hallway, not wanting to interrupt her. And then I heard something that shattered my orderly world into 1,000 pieces. "I just can't do this anymore, Jess. I'm suffocating," Emily said, and there was a weariness in her voice I had never heard before. "He's nice. God, he's nauseatingly nice. But he's so predictable." Pause. I heard her take a sip of something, probably wine. I know what he's going to say before he even opens his mouth. I know what he's going to order at a restaurant. I know what he's going to wear on Saturday. I know what he's going to give me for my birthday, something practical and useful. Living with him is like watching the same movie every day. I love him, I guess, but I'm not sure that's enough. Sometimes I just want to shake him and scream. Do something I can't predict. The box of cookies slipped from my weakened fingers and hit the carpet with a thud. Emily turned around. When she saw me, she turned pale. "Leo." I didn't say anything. I just looked at her, then at the cookies on the floor, turned around, and silently left the house. I didn't yell. I didn't make a scene. That would have been too predictable. I didn't go home that night. I checked into a faceless hotel near the airport and sat until dawn, watching the planes take off from the window. Each pair of lights disappearing into the darkness seemed like a personal reproach. Predictable. The word echoed in my temples. She didn't call me boring. She didn't say she didn't love me. She delivered a verdict worse than that. She said that I no longer existed as a person. I had become a set of functions, a ritual. My love, my care, my reliability, all of that had lost its value, become background noise, a habit. Psychologists note that when a partner calls you predictable, it often speaks to their own dissatisfaction with life, not just your fault. But at that moment, I couldn't think about it rationally. I felt erased. As if someone had taken an eraser and rubbed it over my soul. I opened my laptop. Emily and I had money in our joint account that we had been saving for kitchen renovations. About $30,000. I also had my own personal savings that she didn't know about, my rainy day fund, as I called it. About $20,000. I've always been a good accountant. I transferred my half from the joint account to my personal account. Then I opened the airline's website. One-way tickets. Where to? I closed my eyes and poked my finger at the world map on the screen. Bangkok, Thailand? I had never been to Asia. I hadn't been to many places at all. Our vacations were as predictable as the rest of our lives, a week at a resort on the coast. I bought the ticket. Departure in 8 hours. Then I wrote 2 letters. One to my boss, resigning at my own request. The second to Emily. It was very short. You wanted me to do something unpredictable. Here you go. Don't look for me. Leo. I left my wedding ring and my phone on the bed in our house. I didn't want anyone to be able to track me down. I only took my passport, laptop, and a backpack with the bare essentials. As I sat on the plane, watching my hometown turn into a tiny dot below, for the first time in many years, I didn't know what I would be doing tomorrow. And it was the most terrifying and wonderful feeling in the world. The first few weeks in Bangkok were hell. Chaos, noise, smells, unfamiliar language, it all came crashing down on me, a man accustomed to order. I was lost, lonely, and scared. Several times I almost gave up and didn't buy a return ticket. But then I remembered her voice. Too predictable. And I stayed. To keep from going crazy, I started writing. I started a blog. Simply, without any ambitions. I called it Lost Leo. I wrote about my feelings, about culture shock, about small discoveries. About how I haggled at the night market, how I tried durian for the first time, how I got lost in the narrow streets and found a tiny temple hidden from tourists. I wrote honestly, without embellishment. I didn't try to appear to be a seasoned traveler. I was who I was, a frightened accountant learning to live again. And, to my surprise, people liked it. People started reading my blog. First dozens, then hundreds, then thousands of people. It turned out that the world is full of people who are just as lost as I am, who dream of leaving everything behind but are afraid to do so. My story became an outlet for them. Travel can indeed be a powerful tool for personal growth and overcoming life crises. It forces you to step outside your comfort zone and rethink your values. From Thailand, I flew to Vietnam, then to Cambodia. I learned to ride a motorbike, sleep in cheap hostels, eat street food, and communicate with people without words. I stopped being an accountant. I became a storyteller. My blog grew. I started taking photos and shooting short videos. My style was recognizable, not glossy postcards, but vivid, real moments. I showed not only the beauty, but also the dirt, not only the joy, but also the sadness of travel. 6 months later, I was already in South America. I climbed Machu Picchu in Peru, wandered through the Uyuni salt flats in Bolivia, danced tango in Buenos Aires. Lost Leo became a phenomenon. I had hundreds of thousands of followers. Sponsors started writing to me, and travel companies offered to collaborate. The money I had taken from home had long since run out, but now I was making a living from my blog. I, the predictable accountant Leo, had become one of the most popular travel bloggers in the world. In Colombia, in the small town of Salento, surrounded by coffee plantations, I met her. Her name was Sofia. She was a photographer from Spain, a wanderer like me. She had also run away. Not from her husband, but from a corporate career that was suffocating her. We met at a hostel over a cup of morning coffee. We started talking and couldn't stop. We talked about travel, dreams, fears, what it's like to start from scratch. She understood me like no one else ever had. She didn't know who Lost Leo was. She just saw Leo. A man with sad eyes and a sudden, disarming smile. We started traveling together. She taught me to see light and shadow, to capture moments. I taught her to find order in the chaos of our routes. We were the perfect team. With her, I stopped being lost. I found myself. We spent 6 months together. We explored the Amazon jungle, crossed the Atacama Desert in a jeep, and watched the sunrise on Easter Island. And one day, sitting on a beach in Brazil and looking at the ocean, I realized that I loved her. And I told her so. It was easy. It was right. It was completely unpredictable. Exactly 1 year had passed since the day I left home. Sophia and I lived in a small apartment in Lisbon. We decided to settle down for a while, sort through thousands of photos, and write a book. I was happy. Truly, tremblingly happy. One morning, I was checking my mail and saw a letter. The sender's address made my heart skip a beat. It was Emily. I opened it. The letter was long. She wrote that she had been foolish. That she hadn't appreciated what she had. That she missed my reliability, our quiet life. She wrote that she had seen my blog. That she was proud of me, but didn't recognize me. She asked if I could forgive her. She asked if we had a chance. At the end, she wrote, I understand everything, Leo. I'll never call you predictable again. Please come home. I sat there for a long time, staring at those words. A year ago, they would have turned my world upside down. Now they were just an echo from another life. Sophia entered the room. She brought me coffee, kissed me on the top of my head, and looked at the screen. Is everything okay, mi amor? She asked quietly. I looked at her. At her tousled hair, at her eyes that reflected the whole world, at her smile that was my home. I closed my laptop. Yes, I replied. Everything is more than fine. I didn't reply to Emily's letter. It would have been too cruel. But giving her hope would have been even worse. My answer was in my silence. In my new life. In my happiness, which I had built myself on the ruins of the old one. Sometimes, to find yourself, you have to lose everything you had. Sometimes, to become unpredictable to others, you have to surprise yourself first. And I, damn it, surprised myself,